Well, it is 6:31 by the clock in council chambers. We'll go ahead and open up the meeting. We are virtual. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. For those that have joined us tonight to attend the second of two public meetings to discuss and present conceptual plans for the proposed Port St. Lucie Adventure Park. Welcome. We hope you have some time to spend with us tonight, that you can either ask questions or make comments on the concept plan as presented. I am pleased to present tonight our design consultants for the project that we've worked with extensively the last several months from Stantec. And tonight, leading the discussion on the consultants end is Mr. Sean O'Connell. I have with me tonight Mr. Robert Chenet from Port St. Lucie Parks and Recreation, and Ms. Kelly Boatwright, the project manager, is in the audience tonight. And my name is Brad Keene. I'm the Assistant Director for Parks and Recreation. So between the three of us on the city side and the Stantec team, we will present to you the concept plan for the Adventure Park and entertain any questions, as well as present a couple of online or live polls that we hope you will participate in. So with that being said, Sean, we are up and running, and I'll turn this over to you.
Okay, great, thank you. Let me know when you guys can see this.
We can see you. While Sean is preparing his presentation, just a reminder to the audience that is joining us virtually, if you do have questions, please use the chat feature in the Q&A box, that's online, and your question will come to us, and we will read it out loud so that everybody can hear the question and the answer provided.
Yep. So Brad, can you guys see my screen now?
We can, sir.
Okay, awesome. So thank you, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. As Brad said, this is the second of our two community meetings.
Hey, Sean.
First meeting, if you weren't able to attend.
Sean, can you hear me? Real quick, I'm sorry. You need to switch the presentations and the presenter mode. So just on top there, display settings. If you click that and do swap.
Sorry, where are we doing this?
So go ahead, start presentation again. And then on top, under this, there you go. Perfect, thank you.
Yep, okay, great, awesome. So thank you. So the first meeting, if you guys weren't able to attend, was largely to get some information from you guys and to really hear about what you guys wanted in this adventure park. So we did a quick overview of what the potential program elements could be. We reviewed what the site itself looks like, and we reviewed some of the potential elements that we're thinking about for this park today. So my name is Sean O'Connell. I'm a landscape architect up in the Boston area. I work for Stantec. Also on the line with us tonight is Mike McIntyre, who's also a landscape architect and an action sports specialist based out of Austin, Texas. And we also have Mitch Jensen with us, who is a landscape architect and action sport enthusiast, hoping to be an end user of this park, who's based out of New York City. So that's kind of our design team on our end tonight. Again, thank you for joining us tonight. We have a couple quick things. I think Brad touched on these earlier. So obviously we're using Zoom tonight. Your mic will be muted upon arriving into the meeting itself. We're gonna have a few poll questions similar to the last meeting during the presentation to give us some live feedback and try to make this as interactive as we possibly can through Zoom. And at the end, obviously, as Brad mentioned, we will have a question and answer section. So please use the raise your hand button or enter the questions in the question and answer feature down here at the bottom of your screen. All right. So what we're going to talk about tonight is a quick overview on how we got here. So Brad is going to kind of touch on that. And then we're going to look at some of the results we received back from the survey we sent out after the first public meeting, which really led us to develop our program elements for this project. And then obviously we're going to take a look at the concept plan, which is obviously the most exciting part for this project. So Brad, I'll hand it off to you now to kind of give a background on how we got here.
Okay, thank you, Sean. Yeah, as I said, being the second of the two public meetings, we city staff and Stantec have been working on this for many months now. We've explored many different types of attractions and features of what would constitute a adventure park. We've engaged the public. We've talked with stakeholder groups. We really have reached out to get as much input from the people, from the citizens that would ultimately use this park. And we've engaged, as I said, with a consulting group, Stantec, that has a wealth of experience and knowledge, and they've assembled a team that has put together many of these types of parks in various forms, not only across the country, but actually worldwide. So we're very excited to be at this stage in the game. We have met one-on-one with our individual city council members. We've presented several concepts to the city council at a city council meeting and gauge their reaction and input. And what you will ultimately see tonight in the presentation is the culmination of many months of work and research and ideas that will come together in the form of what we're calling not the final concept plan, but certainly we're probably at the 90% level. And there's still room to tweak it if we need to. But ultimately, we want to refine this concept and eventually bring it to City Council for final approval. So that's where we are. That's how we got to where we are tonight. And again, thank you for your participation, and we look forward to engaging in conversation with you. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you. So for anyone that wasn't able to attend the last meeting, we thought it'd be helpful just to give a quick overview on what an adventure park is. For those of you who don't know, this can be many things. The elements as shown in this image here are many of the items that we're talking about, including in the park, as we see in the concept plan. So from pump tracks to skate parks to flowable areas, BMX racetracks, rock climbing walls, Ninja Warrior courses, artificial waves, all those different types of elements are things we're considering for this adventure park. So next, we're going to show you a couple existing built adventure parks that Mike McIntyre actually worked on. So Mike, if you'd be able to give us just a quick overview on what these action parks include, encompass, and what makes them successful.
Sure, and I'll rely on you to navigate for me. What we have here on the left and the image to the right is the Rockstar Energy Bike Park in Houston. Well, technically Spring, Texas, Greens Point. So you can see there is the bike freestyle concrete park, dirt jump lines north, if you move the arrow up there, asphalt pump tracks on the left side over there on the triangle. And then this is the BMX racetrack that was done for the 2020 UCI Worlds, which got put on hold due to COVID. Rock Hill, South Carolina, which we did, hosted the 2017, will host the 2024, which brought in a ton of money into Rock Hill for those events.
Next one is also a park that Mike worked on down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Yeah, so this is Perkins Extreme. And what's different than the Rockstar Energy Bike Park is this does have a central rock climbing wall, which they do have staff in Baton Rouge that run the rock climbing programs and camps and clinics. On the bottom left, you can see it in the distance there with a skate and bike and scooter park in the foreground. Top left is a more of a small scale velodrome bank wall environment. Skate park, you can kind of see the central rock climbing wall and BMX track. So this concept has been done at a micro level, but we've done a lot of other park projects where if you put all the pieces of the puzzle together, it'd be amazing, like what's being proposed for Port St. Lucie.
Thanks, Mike. So the next thing we got up is a video we showed from the first public meeting, where it's really just an all-encompassing video of various elements we're taking a look at. So I'm going to play this for you guys now.
Sean, I don't hear sound. Okay, there it is. Okay. Yeah, we're not hearing any sound.
It's just some music in the background. There's no auditory really to it. So this is an adventure park that Mike worked on in the Marine Corps actually. A couple of other elements we see in this video include the wave rider, rock climbing wall, various elements. I think you can call it a zip line course. So that was just a quick overview from the first meeting of some elements that we included. So getting into some of the survey responses from the first meeting, we had a really good showing, good turnout. We had 95 people registered for the meeting. At any given time, there were 25 to 30 people on the Zoom call. But what's really impressive to us is the amount of survey responses we received, almost 400, which was really helpful for us to develop the concept and develop the program elements for this park, which was awesome. 82% of the people on the call were between the ages of 25 and 54%. And about 93.5% of the responses we received from the surveys were from Port St. Lucie. So it's great to see that the feedback we're getting is directly from the people that are using it in your city. So the first live poll we've got here, I'll give you 10 to 15 seconds to answer this one. Was this, did you attend the first live poll? This will help us just to get a sense of who's on the call if you guys have heard this information before, if it's all new to you. So I'll give you 10 to 15 seconds to answer yes or no for this one.
Okay, we'll start the clock now. Okay, that was 15 seconds.
All right, so about a third of you guys attended the first one and 2/3 were not on the first one. So great, this is some new people here hearing for the first time. Awesome. So as we continue on the survey responses, we asked on the survey for everyone to rank their top elements, their top, most favorable elements on a scale of 1 to 10. So you can see here in the blue is the desirable elements. So you've got mountain biking, zip lining, ropes course, artificial wave, really high up there. Seems like it's a lot of interest in that. Just below that, BMX pump tracks and skateboard and scooter parks. So that was helpful to see in moving towards our program elements. The next question we asked was, just give us your skill level for each activity. We want to know if you're new to this, if you're an expert, if you're a professional, where you stood. So you can see in the blue and orange, majority of the participants are going to be either beginners or intermediate skill levels, which is also helpful to know just so we know we're designing the parks appropriately. You can see here in the red, there's some advanced in several of the elements, all the elements, particularly in mountain biking, about 25% or so were considered advanced riders. So very helpful to know. What's also really exciting to hear from the feedback is you can see in the blue and orange again that 55% of the participants noted they would like to use this facility weekly or daily. So that's a pretty good response for 400 folks, just that we're able to fill up the response that a lot of them are going to be using this park fairly regularly.
Hey, Sean, this is
Yep.
pardon the interruption, but can you do something with your sound? It's a little muffled.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. It's very muffled.
Sometimes the fan on my monitor gets going and kind of drowns everything out. Can you guys hear me okay?
I can. We can hear you now.
Okay, sorry about that. So all this information really led to us to create a program list for what's going to be included in your park. So all the information we gathered from the surveys, the council member meetings, the project team itself, just developing a list of what we think could be included in here, led us to this list of program elements, which is a BMX racetrack, a pump track, jump lines, mountain bike trails, BMX skate street and flow park, a wheel-friendly plaza, rock climbing, ropes course, zip lines, ninja warrior course, artificial waves, playgrounds, restroom, concession buildings, support buildings and storage, and an area for picnic and food truck. So the next live poll coming up, we're going to ask you to identify your top 3 elements from this list, and note that playground, restroom, concessions, and picnic area are not included on this just because regardless of how this park lays out, I think these things will be included in the park. So of these 8, we'd like you to identify your top 3 elements. BMX racetrack, pump tracks, jump lines, skate and flow park, wheel-friendly plaza, rock climbing wall / bouldering area, ninja warrior course, ropes course, zip lines, and artificial wave. So we'll start 10 to 15 seconds on this one as well, just to identify your top 3 of this list.
Okay, we'll start 15 seconds starting now. Okay, that concludes 15 seconds.
All right, awesome. So very similar to the results we received from the surveys. Great, awesome. All right, so next we're going to do a quick overview of the site itself, just to refresh everyone's memory where we're located. We're at the intersection of the Florida Turnpike and the Crosstown Parkway, just north of the Centennial High School and Middle School. The site itself is about 39 acres. It's open for development. And we do have to keep in mind that the Florida DOT is planning to, in the next 15, 20 years or so, install an on-off ramp from the turnpike that would bisect our site. So that was taken into consideration when they developed the concept plan. So next, I'm going to show you the concept plan. I'm going to let Mike kind of run through the elements that you see on the screen here. And I will throw this legend on here as well. Can you unmute, Mike?
Oh, unmute, there we go. All right, sorry about that, everyone. We've got a couple concepts that we're gonna look at. Or Sean, are we just gonna show one tonight? Okay, so can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
All right, awesome, thank you. So this would be kind of the easiest system to look at this on the left, where there's the legend with a numbering system. So you can identify kind of the 16 key components that comprise the overall concept plan for the project. BMX racing track is on the right here, and I apologize, my Zoom screens are kind of covering it a little bit, but this would be a national level track sanctioned by USA BMX with a UCI 5-meter challenge hill, or we may go lower on that hill as well to a 2.5, 3. And we've got a couple different configurations, so this is not set in stone. This is just the placeholder for space. Adjacent, when you get out there too, this is a little strider track, smaller pump track zone. And then this is more advanced pump track with a lot of crossover lines, a little bit bigger. There on the right, where it's grayed out, that might be more of an asphalt. We haven't really determined at this point what's dirt, asphalt, or concrete. 10, as we work through here, you can see we've got the jump lines and kind of straight rhythm. Let me see. The uniqueness about this is the ingress and egress coming in here is that this is more, bike park driven, BMX, mountain bike, different size wheels. And then we go into this more parking lot number 16. You get out, this is more the central rock climbing wall, bouldering areas adjacent to it. And then it kind of goes into the parkour Ninja Warrior facility. And you can see on the right, you got the Ninja Warrior here on both sides. And then after you get through this gateway, this would be more of a skate plaza, bike park plaza, and then it goes into more flow options and bowls, capsules, et cetera, on the back end of this project. So this will be multi-use skate, bike. It's not really, one or the other specific. And then coming kind of back through here, going into area 7, which is kind of unique. 6 and 7 is these are both 2 flow riders with a central stage behind it, which can have music bands playing while people are on the flow rider. And this is a 14 to see is the amphitheater seating. So when you get out of your car, you can roll over here, sit down, get ready, go do the flow rider, and go to events, contests, and music as well. 13 is adjacent playground. So you might, and a shade pavilion adjacent. So there might be younger, families or ones that don't want to ride or surf can be adjacent while others are participating in, rock climbing, bouldering, skate, or flow rider. As we kind of navigate through here underneath the future overpass, we get into kind of a multi-level ropes course. So this would be above level on, poles off ground coming through here. So you can, rent these, you have groups, different events, or just single hour events. And then it kind of connects into 12, which is more of a long linear zip line going across the whole park. And this whole entire adventure park is encompassed by a single track trail that navigates around the entire park. And comes here and terminates into certain areas. You also can see there's shade pavilions throughout the facility too, which can be rented for birthday parties, events, etc. So that's a quick overview of the kind of 16 components, kind of keeping this parking central. And the events with people pulling bikes out on the right, and then more single activities of climbing and skateboarding and zip lines and rope courses off to the left from parking lot 16 down here.
Mike, this is Brad. I'd like to take this opportunity now to let the viewing public know that as a concept, and I want to stress that word concept, rendering of what this adventure park could look like, we have taken into consideration the possibility of that turnpike flyover and on-off ramp bisecting the park. That's not to say that that structure is an absolute given and it will occur, but we have been approached by the Turnpike Authority, their representatives, and they are interested in exploring this idea of a future interchange at this location. So in good faith and keeping in with good planning practices, we have anticipated the proposed route. If the interchange never comes, then that's just more space for us to position these recreational elements. But if it does come, we have anticipated its route in cooperation with the Turnpike Authority's engineers, and that's why you see that depicted. So I want to make sure the public understands that, we're not saying that this interchange is an absolute to be built, but we are saying that we have been approached by the Turnpike Authority to look into the idea of building an interchange at this location, and in doing so, we've planned our adventure park with that in consideration.
Thank you, Brad. So after seeing the plan, we have two more poll questions. Pretty simple. So after seeing this, what is your favorite element that you see on the plan? Same elements we looked at before on the last poll question, but we'd like to know now, after seeing the plan, which of these elements would be your top most desirable element on the plan? So 15 more seconds on this one again.
Okay, starting now. Okay.
Looks like everything. Okay, so I guess just the opposite of that one now, to help us prioritize the elements on this park, what would be your least favorite element on this project?
Sean, since there are multiple options, I'm going to give a little more time on the choices.
Okay, sure. Yep. So you can start that whenever you're ready, Brad.
Starting now. Okay.
Okay, awesome. Well, that's very helpful feedback. So I think at this point, you've kind of seen what we have to present tonight. And so at this point, we're going to open up to questions. So with that, Avi, I will let you control this feature from this point forward.
Yeah, Avi, we're doing everything by using the chat feature, or can they ask the question verbally live?
Well, we do have our first question that just came in. First question is asking the estimated budget of the project.
Well, I can say that that has not been finalized. We're working on that now. Again, without knowing exactly what items are prioritized, it'd be hard to give a budget even for first phase. I can tell you that in the entire concept as proposed is a multi-million-dollar project without question. And we in the city would be certainly looking at phasing the build-out of this concept over time. But I do not have, and Sean, please feel free to jump in, I don't feel comfortable giving a dollar amount at this time simply because the concept is not refined to that point yet.
Yeah, I agree, Brad. It's very conceptual at this point, and there's a lot of unknowns, specifically utilities and geotechnical information we don't have offhand yet. So it's very conceptual at this point. So you're right, we don't have a solid number yet.
Okay. We do have our next question, and that is, what is the expected time frame for the park to open up to the public?
Well, Sean, help me here, but we have to complete our conceptual design and master planning of the site. And then in accordance with the public procurement rules and regulations that the city follows, we will have to not only develop construction plans, but then this project most likely will be advertised for a public bid. So, Kelly, do you have an estimate? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So after we complete the concept plan and develop the construction drawings, we could begin phase one. Again, at this point in time tonight, we don't know what phase one would consist of, the elements, but we do have money programmed in this fiscal year to begin that process. At build out, I would say to completely build out the concept plan, you're probably talking as long as 10 years out to build it out completely.
Okay. The next question would be specifically, I think, a little further down the road, obviously, about charging to use the facility, how that works.
We're actually considering at this time several options. Is this going to be a facility that is run solely by the city? That's one option. There's also an option of entering into public-private partnerships with entities that would host or run either the entire park itself or maybe even individual components of the park. So there are options as far as running the facility once built, and we are exploring those as we go through this process.
And a similar follow-up question would be, will there be age restrictions on the park?
We haven't gotten to that level of detail at this point. We actually, I would venture to say we have proceeded in our design concept to be as available and as attractive to the greatest age group possible. I know the Strider track out there, and Mike or Sean, please correct me if I'm wrong, but you've got kids that use these Strider tracks virtually, I think, from the time they're able to sit astride a bicycle themselves and use it, to, I think Mike has mentioned in past conversations that there are 70-year-olds that compete in the BMX activities. So again, our desire is to offer amenities within this park to the broadest age group and range possible.
Yep, that's right. Just like touching on the pump tracks Mike mentioned earlier, we did have 3 different levels shown on the plans to accommodate everybody. The ropes course itself shown on the plan would have various levels of difficulty that would, allow anyone from a little kid to anybody that's, older to try to use the park as well. So we're really trying to cater to everybody on this project.
Another question was regarding the potential turnpike off-ramp flyover and how that may affect traffic flow around the park and potentially the location of the entrance as well. Would that be something that would be taken into consideration in the concept moving forward?
Well, absolutely, it's something to consider. It's a great question, and certainly a valid one. That when you have or you propose to have vehicles exiting off of the turnpike, flying over the property, and ultimately getting to the traffic light there at Crosstown, that will add additional traffic. Again, the turnpike's engineering and traffic consultants are taking that into consideration. I know our Stantec team has been in contact with the turnpike engineers, so those conversations are taking place and ongoing. And I'm sure throughout our process, we will continue to meet with the Turnpike Authority to discuss these issues.
Okay. Next question is, will the elements at the park be mostly open air, or would there be any indoor components as well?
Well, there's certainly going to be some indoor features to. So the BMX may have a pro shop and clubhouse type facility, but for the most part, it is an outdoor adventure park. Most of your recreation elements are outdoor use. Again, in looking at this as a phased construction project, there may be a point where the city builds a structure, a building that could accommodate indoor activities such as parties and events and things of that nature. I don't think we show such a building in the concept plan right now, do we, Sean?
We do not, not right now.
But again, being a phased project over time, that can certainly come into play at some future date.
Yep.
Okay. The next question would be, has money for the project already been approved by the city?
Yes, we do have money in this fiscal year to start at least the first phase. It's approximately 1.78 million, and then 2 million in the next fiscal year. So with the proper planning and scheduling, we can literally have these 2 funding years flow one into the other, and so you'll have almost a $4 million budget to begin the project.
All right, our next question, since the park is mostly outdoor, kind of following up from the previous question, will there be shade elements included in the design?
Absolutely, both natural shade in the form of trees, appropriately placed around the property, as well as shade structures, either over tables and food service areas, as well as throughout the park.
Okay. The next question is regarding the first phase, an estimate on the time of completion for a first phase of the project.
Well, as I previously mentioned, the money that we have in this fiscal year, which runs October 1 to September 30th of 2021, is the 1.7 million, and then beginning October 1 of 2021, we'll have an additional $2 million. So, as I said, with proper planning and scheduling, we can make those 2 fiscal years, the funding sources in those 2 fiscal years, coincide back to back so that we can proceed with the project.
Okay. Next question comes in would be, will there be public transportation access to the facility?
Well, that's something that can be looked into. We haven't really ventured down that avenue to explore in this concept phase, planning phase of the project, but working with the Transit Authority, St. Lucie County Transit Authority, will it warrant a stop for the public transit buses? We can certainly look into that and get their feedback on that.
Perfect. Another question came in regarding have we kind of benchmarked the operations looking more along the lines of competitions? Would the BMX track be designed to be acceptable for BMX USA events?
I'll turn this one over to Mike or Sean, but I can tell you that we are definitely wanting to design a facility that can host at least state level tournaments and events. Mike, Sean, do you like to elaborate?
Yeah, I can elaborate. So yeah, the intent is I work with USA BMX every week, and so they're definitely well aware of the location and really think Port St. Lucie would be a great addition. It could be everything from the Florida State Series to another, not a Gator Nationals, but possibly another national location on their schedule as well. So it would be a national level track option, as well as state and Gold Cup finals, et cetera.
Great question.
Yeah. This next question actually might be one for the Stantec team as well. The design of the BMX racetrack, specifically the starting hill, the height of the starting hill, how that would be designed.
Yeah, that's still up in the air. I've done every Supercross track in North America, the 5, the 8 meters. And if you're familiar with Margie's track in Atlanta, there's some discussions about, I think I did that at 2.5 meter hill out there. So definitely wouldn't be an 8 meter. The highest it would be 5, but somewhere between the 2.5 meter to 5 meter, but that's still up in the air and needs to be discussed with the USA BMX as it goes along. My gut feeling is probably more in the 3 meter, under 5 meter. May not need another 5 or 8 meter hill in the area with Oldsmar and Sarasota.
Yeah, I think it's important also to add that while we want the park to be developed so that it is an adventure to go out there and use, we also don't want it to make it so challenging and complicated that, as our polls have indicated, the novice and intermediate riders would be too afraid to use it. So again, this is a park that we want to offer to the greatest numbers of people. At the same time, we do want it a challenge and for the elements to be challenging, but we don't want it too challenging that people won't use it.
Okay. Another question was kind of based on the concept specifically to the skate plaza, whether it would include wood or other construction half pipes.
At the preliminary location, sizing and program, it would be concrete. There would be no wood ramps. It would not be staffed. It would be right at your own risk. So if we did have a half pipe section of there, it would probably be part of the overall flow course.
Okay, thank you. One more question would be asking a question on how the focus and interest of what is in the concept came to be. How did we decide what is in the concept as of this point?
Well, as I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, we have conducted surveys, we've conducted public engagement meetings, we've used the expertise of our professional design team and their team of experts. Mike is well qualified in design, has designed and constructed some of the major adventure parks that are already in this country. And as I said, Mike, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you even have done some outside the country as well. We've looked at our 10-year plan, Parks and Recreation Master Plan that conducted surveys. We've had community input at our Citizen Summit. So we've gathered a lot of conversations and input from people over the last many months to help us, to lead us in the design phase to get to this point. So I think we've done our research in this phase.
Perfect. Thank you. The next question is asking the potential impact of the park to the surrounding neighborhoods, specifically with noise abatement.
Well, we'll certainly look at that. If you can look at or remember the concept plan, some of the uses on the north end that would be closest to the housing developments up there in St. Lucie West would be elements, recreational elements that we don't anticipate generating lots of noise. We are fortunate in that our nearest neighbors, as I said previously, is the Florida Turnpike to the east, Crosstown to the south, and the K-8 school to the west, as well as Centennial High School to the northwest. So we are fortunate. While there is a little bit of residential housing in fairly close proximity on the north side, that's really it.
Okay. One more question regarding the turnpike access. Has there been any study completed regarding how that will impact the local roads and the additional traffic flow?
I would have to defer that question to our turnpike consultants and engineering firm. If they can leave a name and contact number or email address, I will try to contact the engineers for the Turnpike Authority and ask them that question and get that information to the citizen asking the question.
Perfect. Thank you. One question has to do with regarding the skate park and bike park area, the more street park area. Will it allow the use of pegs on the bicycle itself, on the bike itself?
I will defer that to Mike and Sean because I don't know what a peg is.
Mike, that'd be acceptable, right? Pegs in the bike park?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just for clarification, that's a yes, that pegs would be permissible within a park
It would be,
of that design.
It would be, yes.
Thank you. One more question is, any interest in looking at corporate sponsorships or naming rights agreements to help offset operational costs?
Absolutely. We are very definitely interested in that idea. I can absolutely guarantee that we will explore that opportunity. Whether or not something comes of that, I can't say, but we are definitely interested in pursuing that idea.
Perfect. All right, just a couple more questions left. What about considering more aquatic features at the facility?
Well, this question has come up before. We have thought about it, but really we don't want to turn this into an aquatic park. The flow ride or the artificial rave portion of it we feel is appropriate in that it does offer a sense of adventure and a challenge, but it's not necessarily a park where we want to create pools and slides and lazy rivers and that type of thing. We feel that that type of attraction would be better suited at another location in the city.
Thank you. And it looks like we have one final question. Actually, we just got a comment that says we love the plan and we're looking forward to seeing it happen. Thank you for that. So one last question I'm seeing is regarding safety and potential legal ramifications in use of the facility.
I'll let Sean or Mike speak on other parks throughout the country and how they address that, but obviously safety is paramount in our design and concepts. We don't want to construct anything that would pose a known serious hazard or put the city at a point of liability. So Mike or Sean, if you could jump in on that question to explain what other cities have done.
In regards to liability per feature, for example, the BMX racetrack would be could be funded and built by the city. It would be sanctioned by USA BMX. It would only be used for sanctioned practices and races. The supplementary waiver with the policy from USA BMX would be put on that. Pump tracks, everything else, which are free ride, free to go there and ride, including the skate parks, are under the Recreation Indemnity Act for public recreation. Where liability comes in typically is through gross negligence and maintenance, and anything that may be faulty. If you have lights falling down, and other factors is actually, I've seen more claims from someone tripping on a curb. I've never seen someone successful with a lawsuit on a skate park unless a drain was misspecified or other errors and omissions. So as long as it's designed for the inherent activity, maintenance is really a big factor when it comes to liability.
Some of the elements as well, like the zip line and ropes course, the rock climbing tower, wave rider, those type of elements would be monitored or run by either the city or an outside vendor. So those would not be open for open play. You couldn't just walk up to it and hop on the rock climbing wall without someone supervising that. So elements like that would definitely be professionally staffed and occupied.
Thank you, Sean and Mike.
Yep.
I've been informed there are no more questions in the queue. If we want to wrap up our closing comments, and feel free to do so.
All right, I'd just like to thank everybody for joining us tonight. I know you'll be able to see the presentation as well as the concept on the City of Port St. Lucie's website. If you go to www.cityofpsl.com/adventurepark, you'll be able to see everything we presented tonight as well as the first meeting on there. But again, thank you for your time and thank you for your questions.
Fantastic. Thank you, Sean and Mike. We appreciate your involvement tonight. Kelly, do you have anything that we want to end with tonight, or you can think of?
No, I just want to say thank you very much to everyone who's joined us and for the second meeting. This was recorded this evening, so if you did not get a chance, if someone that you know did not get a chance to see it that would like to, feel free. The first meeting is also still posted online, so if you want to get more information about the Adventure Park, www.cityofpsl.com/adventurepark. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kelly. Robert, anything to add?
I think we're good. Thanks everybody for their questions and for getting engaged in the process. And we look forward to continue to hear from our citizens as we bring this park to the start of construction.
Absolutely. And on behalf of the Parks and Recreation Department in the City of Port St. Lucie, I too want to extend my sincere appreciation to all those that have tuned in or watched tonight, to those that have submitted questions. If you are out there listening tonight and have questions that you did not get a chance to post in the chat room, please feel free to give us your questions at the City of Port St. Lucie Community Center. You can contact either myself, Brad Keene, at 878-2277, or Kelly Boatwright at the same number. And to our guest services employees at the front desk, tell them you want to submit a question or comment regarding the Adventure Park, and they will get that to us. And please make sure you leave your name and good contact information so that we can respond to your question. With that being said, Sean, Mike, really appreciate you being here tonight. Thank you. It was a great presentation. Things are really moving forward. We're coming to the end of this exercise in developing a concept plan for the proposed Adventure Park. And with that being said, if there are no more questions or comments, I would like to again thank everybody for attending tonight and stay tuned for the next informational meeting. So thank you and good night, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.